USA Radio News with Tim Berg.
A sweeping budget bill is headed to the Senate after passage in the House. The somewhat bipartisan spending bill covers government funding for 2 years and pushes out any spending disputes past next year's national elections. Republican Congressman from Texas, Chip Roy, voted no on the measure. He explains why.
Here's what's important. Doing what the American people sent us here to do. Balance the budget, secure the border. Democrats refuse to do either of those things. Well, you've got a lot of people here in Washington who care more about power than they care about doing the right thing. And that happens to be the case in both parties.
That audio courtesy of Fox News. The Senate Intelligence Committee is releasing a report on Russian meddling in the 2016 election. The bipartisan report found that the Russian government directed a sweeping effort that dated back as far as 2014. According to the committee, the U.S. election systems are still vulnerable, and there needs to be extensive efforts made to ramp up security. And you're listening to USA Radio News. Accused child sex trafficker and Manhattan financier Jeffrey Epstein is recovering after being found injured in his jail cell. Investigators are not saying if this was a suicide attempt or an attack. Modern technology in our cars is distracting to everyone, but some more than others. USA Radio Network's Chris Barnes has the results of a new study.
The new report says older drivers are more easily distracted by in-vehicle technology than younger drivers are. The report is from the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety and the University of Utah. They looked at how drivers deal with tasks like navigation or even operating the radio. It found that drivers ages 55 to 75 take their eyes off the road for about 8 seconds longer than people aged 21 to 36 do to do the same tasks. AAA says taking your eyes off the road for just 2 seconds will double the risk of a crash.
This is USA Radio News. The death penalty is being reinstated by the Justice Department. Attorney General Bill Barr says in a statement that the Justice Department owes it to the victims and the families to carry forward the sentence imposed by our justice system. American trade negotiators will head to China for face-to-face talks as the world's largest two economies try to strike a trade deal. The two countries did agree on a truce last month, and this will be the first face-to-face meetings to take place in almost 4 weeks. James Rickards is a financial expert and an editor of a newsletter titled Strategic Intelligence. He talks about this entire trade war between the U.S. and China.
The trade war is not going to be over quickly. There might be some kind of handshake deal in photo op, but it's not really going to solve any of these problems. And there's a speech that Mike Pence gave in October 2018. It's easy to find on the White House website, and they call it the Pence Doctrine. And he makes the point, and I agree with him, I think he's got this exactly right, that the trade war with China is part of a bigger war, Cold War II. There's a lot else going on. It involves human rights, the South China Sea, relations with Korea, theft of intellectual property, currency wars, and the trade war. There's a lot more going on. And you're already seeing U.S. manufacturers pull their manufacturing out of China and move it to Vietnam or Indonesia or other places that have the same low labor costs and transportation networks, but you don't have all the problems you have in China.
Rickards also has a new book out titled Aftermath. For USA Radio News, I'm Tim Berg.